Have a great meeting.
Thanks, bye.
So I'll leave mine on speaker so that we can hear it. Yes. Okay, I'd like a motion to approve the meetings of the May 14th meeting, minutes of the May 14th meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 14th meeting with a correction on 4C. Will.
Oh, one more out. Yeah.
That's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. The minutes of June 11, we basically just called the meeting to order and had a presentation. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 11 meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 11th meeting.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I will note one correction for today's agenda. The next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, August 13th, not August 6th.
I'll let you know.
We'll come. We can do this remote.
Okay.
Pardon?
I'll be able to look at the minutes and you get.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
You're being a better.
Review of budget expenditures. The first sheet I gave you in your pack is May. Expenses were minimal for the period. Clerical cost, the beginning of use of the boat, patrol boat, and the dock fee. Any questions?
No.
The next is for June. You can see we've had May and month of June for the patrol boat and dockage fees and small boat expenses, mostly gas. Any questions for June?
No.
I also just provided, this is the sheet on what our final approved budget was. I think it's basically exactly what we proposed. So I don't think there's any changes there, but just so you can have that and know. Speaking of that, this is there's a few carryover items. One, Pond and Lake hasn't done the survey of the lake, and I'll get into why, and the herbicide treatment. I'll get into why in just a minute, but so I'm going to request a carryover. We have 2,787. No, that's the wrong number. 2,594 in our remaining balance. I'll request that be carried over so that we can pay for the survey and part of the any herbicide treatment that's required.
What was the amount again?
2,000. We have a carryover of 2,594. I don't believe we received the billing yet for the newsletter.
We have not.
Okay. Do you know how much it's going to be?
No, I can email them tomorrow and find out.
Would you? Because I should either get the bill in or ask for a carryover for it.
Wouldn't it hit, so last year's didn't hit the fiscal budget that just ended, June 30th?
Nope. I think we paid, no, I mean, we still, as of the end of, we had $44,200 in newsletter in the budget that we haven't spent. We haven't spent anything of our budget for newsletter.
I wonder when last year's hit.
I don't know. I can go back and try to find out. Okay,
I'll get the amount and, I'll email you and I'll copy you on my email so you can see it.
that would be
You
great.
see it before I do.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful. Yeah. I don't think that there are any other carryover items. Moving along. In terms of, I'm going to rehead this instead of notice of violation. It's really our request for a permit to, for water diversion. We're going to apply for a permit for water diversion. As I know I've told you this before, but just to recap, where we are is the hydrology study has been submitted to DEEP. The operations manual has been submitted to DEEP. It's basically held up in Division of Fisheries, and we haven't heard back from them. I will call into DEEP to the guy that's administering this and just say, this whole ball is in your court, and see where it goes. Did I send you that they cleaned up the email? They cleaned up the rocks along the.
I don't remember seeing that.
Okay. One of the concerns that DEEP had was that the construction company had left rocks along that repaired wall riprap.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't necessary for them to be there. It was sort of a belt and suspenders. DEEP was concerned, the fisheries people were concerned that fish would hit it. So I asked, is it Manic? I can never think how to pronounce that guy's name. Macnick. Construction. Yeah, Macnick. He had two guys go out and clean it all up. So, that worry's been taken care of.
Okay. And he did it as part of the previous gratis.
He did it gratis.
Okay.
Technically, they shouldn't have put the rocks there.
Right. Okay.
So if I hear anything important on that, I will let you know. But we're really waiting on them. In terms of the rapid response for the invasive species, I've contacted Yolanda at DEEP and sent a form for a special purpose license, which would allow us to have people there to look at boats and to talk about the lake and those types of things. I think we need to, so we can apply for that, we have to get a certificate of insurance from the town. I think we need to have a group thought as to how often we want people there or when.
This is at the boat launch?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would say the weekend.
Pardon?
I would say the weekend.
Yeah,
Weekend, there were an unusual amount of visitors.
Yes. Yeah.
And there are some big motors.
Yeah.
They definitely violate the
The laws, the rules.
ordinance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know that has nothing to do with invasive.
No, with a person that was there, could do both.
Mm-hmm.
So we can try to see if we can get that set up for part of the rest of the summer.
So we'd have to pay this person, right? Do we have money in an account? Because we have less money in our budget this year than we had last year.
If we carry over the newsletter amount, it's $4,000 right there.
Yeah, that they don't let you mix people and.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Oh.
I think we
could just cut back on September.
yeah, I mean, I think we didn't, Yeah, we budgeted 12,000 last year, 300, and we still had 2,700, almost $3,000 remaining in the budget from last year.
And we have a budget of 12,800 this time.
Yeah. So I think we should be okay.
Okay.
I mean, what the cushion there, to use an accountant's term, is I work out how many days there are in hours, and I don't plug in any rain time.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's a little
And
bit.
we've had some rain time where the boat didn't go out already this season.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so that's really where
Where the boat had an issue one day, right?
Yeah, with props.
the prop, yeah, I ran around and got a prop.
Mhm.
Well, my son and I figured out how to pull a prop while the boat was in the water from a inflatable. Oh, worked fine.
Wow.
I didn't want to pull the boat.
Right.
My son's very strong, so. So I think we should be okay. So I guess the question is how we man that. I'll get the application in to DEEP with those general qualifications, see how they come back, and if they require any training of us, and then we'll figure out who could do it.
Could we as a body take shifts?
Yeah,
Because we wouldn't be paid.
no, we could be on the list of people that were there.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think you only really need to be there like Saturday and Sunday mornings.
I agree.
Because
I
anybody
would
that's
say
going in
between
is going in.
10 and noon,
Yeah,
10 and 1, 11 and 1.
yeah. All right, well, let's see where we can get with that, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Can they wear something to look official?
I think we have shirts.
We have shirts.
Yeah, do you have a shirt? Oh,
You don't have one? Do you have a hat?
No, RLA.
Yeah.
yeah.
Bright yellow, safety yellow. Is that what it is, Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, they might get a little more traction if they look official.
Could you order a couple more large shirts?
Yeah. The UV shirt
The
or.
light ones, the lightweight.
The lightweight ones, yeah.
Yeah, not the
Mhm.
cotton.
2 more.
Why don't you
I
get,
think,
could you get some extra large? Yeah, some extra large, because the new guy we got is extra large.
Who's the new guy?
Mark Sikas.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
He just started 2 weeks ago. He used to work with Sonny Rangel, and he grew up on Gardner Lake. He's
Oh,
been in
great.
boats his whole life.
Did you know Peter?
I don't know if he knows Peter. Yeah, I didn't ask him.
So Mark Seekus?
Yes. And he's in as a fill-in. He'll be doing Thursday nights and every other Saturday. Sonny will be with us next year, but probably not the year after.
Why?
He's moving back to Texas,
I love them.
which is unfortunate for us.
Yeah, it is.
It's great for him.
Yeah.
His family, that's where he's from. That's where his family is.
He knows that already. He's moving.
He bought a ranch. Okay, the other, in terms of, we were talking rapid response, I think if you were coming in, well, we were all sort of here for that conversation about the hydrilla poster. I'll see where we can get with, I think the bottom line is, if either Connecticut Federation of Lakes will develop one that everybody can use, or maybe we'll come up with one that we can use. And, I'll have to find out why the one they have isn't acceptable.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not, because they didn't include it as an insertion to this.
Okay,
The printer did not.
no,
I don't know why.
oh, okay.
And the guy I worked with wasn't there when I picked these up. So if we're not supposed to use it, maybe not.
No, I think anybody could use it. We can't post it on, at the state boat launch. It's not approved by Pete.
Okay,
Anybody else could use it.
okay. Because if they printed them and they just didn't put them in here, then I can get them. And if they didn't print them, do you want me to print them and then we can have them?
I'm pondering if we move forward with having people at the launch,
Right.
can we hand out something that,
Because we can always, if they didn't print them, we can always have them printed. Because it's that.
yeah.
It'd be good for people who are enforcing, they can say, oh, this is.
Yeah, why don't you see if you can get them printed? I mean,
Okay,
or if it-
I'll see where they are. If
Yeah.
they didn't print, why, and please do,
yeah,
and then I'll get them.
okay.
At the Connecticut Federation of Lakes meeting, the people from the state all seem to be gung-ho about invasives and being protected. And then what we're finding is, oh, such and such doesn't meet this, and so on vacation. It's like, no one's very concerned.
That's the state.
Yeah, it's, you know,
But it's,
you know, when we put up signs, you know, the one-way sign we put up and, you know, not enter sign, incredibly specific. Poor Janelle, when we put up the sign of the lake rules, you went through torture to get that, I mean, you got
There
it
were many
done.
revisions, and
Many
it's done,
revisions.
and it's posted, no one
It's
knows,
posted,
no one
it
pays
works.
attention.
Yeah, it works and it's there, but, no, it's not, they have their standards. If we want to get something there, we got to meet their standards, is about how it works. So, moving on, in terms of the invasive plant survey, I think, Janelle, before you came in, I was mentioning, Pond and Lake has not done the survey as yet
I was gonna ask about that tonight.
because apparently permits for lakes that are public water supply or near wells, which includes our lake, are delayed due to an agreement between DEEP and DPH, which I believe is the Department of Public Health, that allowed for treatments. This agreement hasn't yet been renewed between the two agencies, so no permits, herbicide applications are being provided. We're going to try to follow up with people at DEEP. We have done it so far, but a little more forcefully to find out what's going on.
Do we know if this is something that happens every X number of years?
10 years.
And this is the 10th year?
This is the 10th year.
Okay. Is, I have milfoil.
Yeah.
And I went in, well, Rob went in and pulled it. And I was gonna ask if on the survey, they saw if they came in close enough, because it's literally right behind my boat.
Yeah, no, they haven't been in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've noticed in going around, I don't know if it's because the lake's low, but in the center of the lake, there seems to be weeds up
Yeah.
higher than
Yes.
there's more growth than usual, it seems.
Mhm. And I think a contributing factor, now I'm not a scientist, but even though it was a cold winter and we had ice, it didn't happen till later. And I'm wondering if that impacted the weed species and it didn't like kill them off.
Maybe,
Because we've never had milfoil and we were plucking it.
yeah, okay,
And I put it in a baggie and threw it in the garbage.
yeah, good. That's the other reason why I want to carry over all that money from this year, because I think our weed application, I think we're going to have to do more acreage this year than we did last year.
I
That's
think
just
so
a
too.
guess, but, we'll see.
But I think it's important to stay on top of it.
Yeah. No, we got to stay on top of it.
Joel, are you planning on going out again?
When they come here and do the survey on the people,
Yeah,
we'll probably have room for one person from RLA, and it's important that someone go, and someone who hasn't gone yet, because
Yeah.
it's eye-opening.
oh, because I would love to go.
But, the new, I don't need to go, because I've done it.
Okay, all right,
I'd be happy for you or whoever's available
okay.
to go. And they give you big,
Ear
ear
thing,
protection.
okay,
And you want that on, good.
Yeah. Take my picture. So we'll see what happens with Deep in, Department of Public Health.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they are slow, is it then worth asking our local representatives and the state senator and representative to get people moving?
Like Devin Carney,
Or, yeah,
he grew up on this lake.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know him?
I know Devin.
Do you want me to find more specifics and you could
Yeah, I'm
mention
happy
it to him?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know,
Because who's the other one? Is it Simmons?
I'm embarrassed. I don't know our local
Is it Rob?
representatives.
I think it's Robert.
No, who's the guy that, he's on TV.
It's not Needleman, right?
Needleman's the name that's going to mind.
Norm Needleman.
When in doubt, let's all look it up.
And Norm would be state senator.
I believe, yes, he's a state senator. Not a-
State.
No. No. But, I mean, you know.
Mary might know him.
Norm Needleman is the state senator representing 33rd District.
Right. Mary knows him.
Yeah, she certainly knows.
Okay.
Devin Carney is the state representative. So it would be Norm and Devin. I don't know Norm, but I'm happy to include him on the email.
Okay, well, let me see if I can get some more specifics so that they're not just, so I, get titles of the least agencies and who's involved.
Yeah.
And, so you can be specific when you talk to them.
Okay.
In the need for urgency, because if something is seen and you don't act, if you wait months to act, then you lose the whole lake, or it becomes so much harder the next year.
Yeah, you just got to do more next year. Yeah. No, totally. And it's not just us that are being affected.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's sort of unfortunate is what we're finding is, from that email from Connecticut Federation of Lakes, is that a lot of people, 13,000 people signed the survey complaining about Army Corps of Engineers using pesticides in the Connecticut River to treat hydro.
Yeah.
And so we've got this backlash of, well, no chemicals in the water, but there's also the in the water.
What happens? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what's unfortunate too is there's no people that are okay. There's nobody out there signing petitions saying, yeah, we should do this. There's not a, there's not a support group.
Groups came back and
I'd
said
say,
that,
yeah.
all the reasons why it's
Yeah.
okay.
How many people showed up? I wasn't here, I was in California. How many people showed up for the June program? 10?
Less.
Including us.
Yeah, it was very
That's it?
embarrassing.
3 from the extent.
Yeah, it was really sad.
That is it?
Yeah, it was terrible.
So I said to the professor, whatever, assistant professor, I said, well, the community knows we'll take care of it, so they haven't come because they know we will deal with the invasive.
There's no sense of urgency by the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yet if it is introduced to the lake and it becomes a hazard, then the room will be packed.
Exactly. It even affects the fish, right? Isn't that what the articles say?
Yeah.
That it can get so dense and
Yeah.
the
There'll
fish.
be no fishing, no crewing, no water skiing, no
Nothing.
boating.
Yeah.
Just, we can look
It will be a
out on-
mat of green.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally, thick green,
Yeah.
like you could stick a rake in.
Like it was before we started treating the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, it was
When
really,
the frogs and the turtles would just sit on top of the water because there was so much vegetation. Wow. That's,
all right, moving on. Patrol boat operations. I just mentioned that we had Mark Cenas is now working with us. We've gotten 3 voicemails on the patrol boat phone about jet skis operating fast and after hours.
so I have 2 proposals. I don't know now is a good time to share.
Yeah, go for them.
Okay. So 2 things. One is, I know Sunny does a great job. And, this weekend, it was very busy on the lake. And there were a lot of people that were visiting because I didn't recognize the majority of them.
Right.
Okay? So Rob and I went up on Saturday, up by you. We were up by you. And we anchored, we were swimming and reading books and magazines. And not once, we were there for 2 hours, not once did I see the patrol boat.
Okay.
Okay? And the jet skiers were coming. Now, we're bobbing. I wear a life jacket and I just bob around. And the jet skiers were coming in between the boats. Other boats were coming around. Total disregard for anchored boats, which are fixed objects. And you're supposed to be 200 feet or 100 feet, depending on what you're driving, away from a fixed object. So I know that the safety patrol boat likes to hang out in the center because it gives good visuals to the north and to the south. But what I'd like to propose is that I think that's fine hanging out there, but every hour make a loop. Make a loop around the lake. There was a boat that did not belong here, and a jet ski that did live on the lake. And the jet ski was allowing other people on from this boat to drive the jet ski. And one girl got on it and she took off going clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And I was close enough where I could hear them and I could listen to them, and they're like, she's not doing it right. The guy who lives on the lake, whose jet ski it is, because I was going to say something. So when she came back, he's like, you cannot go that way. Now, she had no license, I'm sure, to drive this thing, but we have no authority to do anything about that. But he told her the way she had to go. On this lake, you go counterclockwise, which means the shore is to your right-hand side. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to say anything. So I would propose that once an hour, regardless of where he is hanging out, he makes a loop around just for presence and for the optics that the boat is out there. Also, with regard to the jet ski, there, the individual who gave us challenges a year ago has sold his stand-up jet ski.
Oh.
And he sold them to someone else who comes in during the week after the patrol boat is off and does the jet skiing thing. So I would propose, because we can't do anything on Mondays and Wednesdays because the boat's not out, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays, extend the time by half an hour so that when the jet skis are supposed to be off at 6 o'clock, then they don't go in until 6:30, and they take the jet skis and advise them that for town ordinance, they need to be off the lake.
So just for a little while, or?
For Tuesdays and Thursdays.
When we're out there, just have them go an extra half
Have
hour.
them go an extra half
The
hour.
rest of the season?
Yeah.
That's what I'm just asking, the rest of the
Yep.
season or month?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the rest of the season, because that would get the message out, I think.
Yeah.
And it would also let residents know that, hey, someone's out there and they're letting them know. Now, of course, again, there's nothing we can do on Mondays and Wednesdays, right? But there is on Tuesdays
Yeah.
and Thursdays and
And
Fridays.
Fridays, yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll propose that, see if the guys can adjust their schedules to do that.
Do we need to vote on that? I mean, I think we're all in agreement on both of those things,
Yeah.
but.
We might as well.
Sure.
All right, I make a motion to, approve or to pass the two proposals. One is to have the patrol boat do a loop every hour. And the second one is to extend the patrol boat hours of operation on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, to help mitigate the jet ski violations.
Wait a minute, before, that question, so every hour would be ideal, but at least that if, as close to an hour, like if it ended up one time being an hour and a quarter or an hour and a half,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't see,
okay.
Are you saying an hour or a half hour? I thought you said a half hour.
She said it in
an hour for looping,
Oh, an hour for loop, every hour.
every hour.
Approximately.
Like hang out in the center.
Yeah, yeah.
But make sure every hour you're
You can
doing
do it cover the
something.
lake.
You're
Okay.
seeing.
Around the lake.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So-
that was for
Particular
proposal
covering
one.
the- What do you call the,
North and, well.
The
Where Mark
northwest
is-
end, yeah.
Mark is northwest.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
in the north.
northwest.
right, so what you're saying is in particular cover the northwest end,
Yeah,
which is not visible from the south.
Yes,
right.
yeah, so, because if you,
Yep.
because he normally hangs out around here,
Yeah,
so he can see this way and this way.
right,
But over here,
Yeah.
this is in the summertime where everyone goes and anchors and swims and
Yeah,
Right.
so if he does a loop every hour and then hangs every hour,
A loop of the whole lake
yes.
Yeah.
every hour.
Yeah,
in order to cover the northwest end in particular.
yeah.
You seconded it already?
I did.
all in favor?
I,
Good.
thank
Now, I
you.
have another question.
Mhm.
So is this gonna be in the minutes and then it's gonna alert them about the extra half hour? Well,
No,
still the,
Oh, alert our guys?
no.
It will be in the minutes, but Mark needs to ask them to stay an extra
Yes,
half hour.
yes, I got that, but I'm just thinking in the minutes that will alert, those people who
If
are,
people read
that
them.
person who is thwarting.
If
But
the-
if
Good,
it,
if they,
yeah.
they'll know somebody's there.
if it works, it works.
Yeah,
The other thing that'll slowly happen is it's gonna get darker earlier,
yes, you're right,
so,
you're
but,
right.
I think that's a good idea.
Is this the person that goes around in the circle to jump the bone lake and it sounds extremely annoying?
They don't live here. They come in through the boat launch. I see them come in.
Right, all right.
Mm-hmm. That's right, Joel, you got it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The boat launch in Lime or Old Lime?
Boat launch?
It is in Old Lyme.
Okay.
Who has their own police force.
That's what I was just.
Right,
That's what I was thinking you were going.
Yeah, I'll,
And there will be trailers in the parking lot.
yeah,
And you can tell a
Um,
jet ski trailer from a boat trailer.
yeah, we could ask for a favor and see if they could drop by one night.
Because if they're
Because
going-
it is a town ordinance.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
if they're going in a circle, then, over their own way, then by definition, they're not going, I guess they're going.
yeah,
Well, it's not that. It's they're out after 6 p.m.
Right,
Monday through Friday and out after 7 Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
But I personally would feel bad asking them to stay another half hour on a Saturday and a Sunday after they've been out there.
out there all day, yeah. Okay, so we said Friday, or
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Friday, okay. Good, I was sort of thinking the same thing, so.
And if we could have the patrol car come in periodically.
Yeah. That may not be, well, we'll find out.
Because it is a town ordinance.
Yeah. It's a,
I'm sure Martha can help with that.
yeah. Just as a bit of information, I got a call from a guy that's head of the authority up in the town of East Haddam for their lakes up there. And they're having a big problem with wake boats. They make boats that make a huge wake so that you can surf behind them. And you don't need a rope, you're not tied to them. And the way they get a big wake is they weigh the end of the boat. They have baffles actually in the end of the boat that left in water, so that the bottom of the boat sinks down, and they have a big engine, and they cause a big wake, and it's causing a lot of erosion. They're having problems on their lakes with erosion with the wake, and apparently the wake itself is so strong that it goes down to almost 20 feet and mixes up the thermal layers, everything. So he was actually calling to see if we'd had any issues with wake boats. He said we haven't as yet. And I actually looked, they are proposing an audit and change in their ordinances in East Haddam later this month to prohibit wake boats.
Do ours say anything about wake boats?
No, it does not. The one thing we have is, we do have the ordinance that says 135 horsepower is the maximum. I know not everybody pays attention to that, but apparently to have a wake boat, you need like 250 plus.
Wow.
Oh.
Because you need the power to push all that water.
Okay.
So, and we're not that big of a lake, so.
But what lake in East Haddam is big enough?
There's Moodus.
Moodus Reservoir?
Yeah, and then there's another lake up there.
Is it Station? Hayward?
Hayward Lake, maybe? I don't
I
know.
thought that was in Colchester.
Yeah, I thought that's in Colchester. I remember looking at a house there.
Anyhow, that was just interesting that they're taking action, to prohibit that.
Because mixing up the layers of the lake and kicking up sediment, that'll screw things up.
Oh, yeah, a whole
well,
lot.
big time.
Yeah.
So anyways, do you think Sonny knows about the wake boats so that he can be?
I'll mention it to him. Yeah. No, I don't know if the guys do. I'll mention that as well.
More bigger engine motor.
Because I've been told twice now that there's a boat, and I think I texted once this group. There's a boat that has twin engines that goes out on the lake, and it's been out twice. And it hangs out by Big Dick Island.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I've never seen it. I've only been told about it. And two different people told me about it 2 different times.
Huh. Okay. Be tough to have 2 motors
So
and measure
that's a wake
135.
boat.
Yeah.
So, what would it require to get an ordinance done?
Oh, you got to go to both towns to get it approved. It's a process.
It's a
Town
big
meeting,
process.
it's a huge process. I mean, if it became an issue, I think, since there aren't any boats on the water now, it'll be interesting to see how it works with East Haddam, because they can approve the ordinance, but DEEP has to approve their ordinance for it to be valid, because it has to do with the lakes.
So I would have to think that anything like that that's disrupting thermal layers would have an issue, the alewives would have an issue with it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No, I think, I think we've got ammunition.
use it to the advantage.
Yeah, but I think actually we should just follow it
watch
to
it.
see how they do, if they get it approved and how it works. So if they get it approved, we can either get it ready or think about it, or, you know,
Yeah, and perhaps get Yale to write a, letter of hacking.
yeah,
This is not just a matter of, we don't
Yeah.
like it, it's no screw up the leg.
Mhm.
well, I think it's some, for whatever reason, we haven't seen any yet, so, that's a good thing,
Yeah.
but we should be aware and follow it and see where we can go. Water quality survey. Andrew McDonald will still be working through, he thinks maybe through September, collecting samples. And he said that if he has to leave before that, he will, he'll teach us how to take samples as best we can, and Yale will process them.
Okay, great.
Why he might lose his job.
He's moving at some point.
Okay.
I don't think there's a question of funding for his group as overall. His wife has a job in Albany, and I think they're ultimately moving up there. So, and he doesn't know if his job's going to be filled because of the funding cuts.
Okay.
Overall. Which raises a midterm problem. We've got to find somebody. If Yale can't do it next year, we got to find somebody that can.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been so good.
Yeah.
Question for Yale, who's as good as they are, who can take this forward, and while waiting for that, are there any kits that can be purchased and used by amateurs or retired scientists? To test, along the lines of what you would use for a high-end aquarium seven. Not to be as good, but to be much better than nothing.
UConn has Avery Point. I wonder if they have any kind of, they have tons of marine
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's something that they could potentially do.
The aquarium, they might know.
Mhm.
It's a good one.
How about I just get you access to Yale's lab?
That sounds good.
What you want me to do tonight?
So we're gonna get you
Under
a
cover of
badge.
darkness.
You get a badge.
Yeah, a lot of what they measure is extremely sophisticated. What we wanted, I think, is on the simpler side. But the other thing to ask Andrew, as we talked about a little bit before the meeting, is can they do or can they recommend measuring NutraSweet and or boron in the tributaries, both of which are indicative of phosphate income from septic systems rather than harm. Boron being in detergents and NutraSweet being eaten by people.
I was gonna ask you, the NutraSweet that's in food?
Yeah.
Okay.
It passes through people and
Yep.
septic systems. Like, evidently, it's a marker that.
It lasts that long?
Yeah.
How scary is that?
This is from a lecture at Connecticut Federation of Lakes.
Oh,
Which actually leads us to, Tony, you talk with blind people about Roundup, or about Lars?
Has everybody noticed that around guardrails, really on Blood Street, but also on Grassy Hill by Old Lyme, they, right around the guardrails, there's dead vegetation, brown vegetation. Yeah, look
I
on
will.
Blood Street.
okay.
Now, the town of Lyme has done some digging up around before and after the guardrails, and that's recent. But at the guardrails, you'll see that they've been sprayed with something. So I went up to the maintenance department and asked, what happened around all the guardrails? And the manager is Lars Anderson, and he was on vacation. But the number two person, I guess, said to me, oh, well, the town, they're hard to mow around the guardrails, so the town hires a contractor to spray them. And I said, what are they sprayed with? And he said, oh, Lars will call you. Well, after vacation, Lars called me, and it is a Roundup-like product. It's, it's not the brand name Roundup, but it is Roundup, basically.
Yeah.
And,
Is it by where that water is?
if many of the places are culverts where there's water. And so I asked about that. I said, does that, oh, well, we only do it on days that aren't gonna rain. And they put an additive in it so that it supposedly sticks to the plant. But I was concerned, so I wrote to Joel, and he got some info.
Yeah, but I read some articles on the effects of glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup, on lakes and streams and animals therein. And I sent an email to Tony and Mark. I'll just read a couple sentences, commenting based on those articles. I'm not an expert in pesticides. I'm just reading. My main concern about using Roundup-type herbicides along roads and ditches in line is that high concentrations of glyphosate in vernal pools in and around ditches by the road will kill amphibians breeding in these pools. Amphibians are particularly sensitive to glyphosate, and from a particular reference, I quote, vernal pools typically form annually in the spring and early summer months and provide essential temporary breeding habitat for amphibians. The timing of herbicide applications often coincides with pool formation and use by native species for breeding or feeding, making these herbicides particularly sensitive to contamination. And I go on and say, well, vernal pools may not be within RLA's jurisdiction, would be appropriate for the RLA or members thereof to bring this to the attention of town. Weed whackers would be safer than using Roundup by the roadside.
So is there a potential, Joel, in anything that you read that the residual from Roundup leaching into Rogers Lake?
Some will. It's picked up pretty quickly by soil. It ends up in sediment and it degrades. So the articles I read were less concerned about effects in lakes, assuming it's not heavily dumped into the lake, and more acute local concentration. If you're essentially spraying plants in a ditch, that ditch is going to have a high concentration, and if you have amphibians breeding in there, they're going to be in trouble. And I know there are some rare species around. But I'm saying this now, and then earlier I'm saying we need a permit so you can treat the lake. So I do believe in a balance of sometimes chemical agents to control things that are valuable and important. And I think treating Hydrilla in the Connecticut River as Connecticut Federation Lake and EPA and so forth favor, I favor that. But in this particular case, where you can use a weed whacker that won't hurt these organisms, I would favor that. Whereas you can't use a weed whacker.
Could you draft a letter
Yeah.
that would come from Rogers Lake Authority that, stating those points and ask that they could consider in the future, anything directly adjacent to where there's water flow, that they wouldn't use Roundup, or they wouldn't use it?
Well, the lake itself, streams that go into the lake, clearly there's a lot of brown patches, my streams right where Dick and I tested the tributary. But basically any ditch.
Would be, okay.
Right.
So
But we're speaking about the lake, so it's whatever they do elsewhere in town, if it's not near water, that's their business. And we're talking about.
Well, it affects our lake.
Well, it does. So does the town of Lyme have a wetlands commission?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Okay. Vernal pools fall under wetlands.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna send a note or a letter or anything, I would definitely copy wetlands. because they should be interested in this information.
Yeah,
We've got to drive though tomorrow on
Blood
Blood Street. You won't believe it.
Okay.
Every single time there's.
I have to go to the senior center and drop off cookies, so I'll go that way.
go the
I'll go
long
that
way.
way.
You'll
You're gonna get used to it once they do the prayer.
Culvert.
Oh my God, I know.
What? What would I just say?
The bridge.
When they replace the bridge down,
Yes.
they'll all be coming by my house.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think that road can handle those trucks.
Yeah.
I can't handle it.
Well, I don't know. I saw after the meeting, like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I saw two surveyors over on Jewett property. And I wondered, were they checking to see if they could put the temporary roads there? That's where they were.
So I was told they're not doing a temporary road because of the cost.
We.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got us off track.
No.
Would
But,
you-
but I would include the wetlands commission for the town of Lyme.
Well, I'll draft a letter mainly focusing on the content, and I'll let you and I think about exactly who it should go to.
Okay,
Or finer details.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
You know, knowing that, I would go out and weed whack if I thought they were going to spray.
Yeah.
Roundhouse near these
Yeah,
things that are so close to the
Well,
lake. And-
think about it.
and Go into the lake.
It's cheap and they don't have to pay people
Oh, yeah.
longer,
yeah.
longer
Right,
time.
well, that's what I said. I said, I bet you it has to do with staffing. or
Yeah,
something.
no, I'm sure.
But it wasn't, it hasn't been done in previous years.
No,
No.
that's why it'd be good to get it,
You know,
you know, and I mean, you're talking like maybe a day for a weed whack crew. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I don't know who brought this up, I feel this. At the Ross.
And she lives like across the street from George.
The other person who seemed knowledgeable about this, if you go and mention vernal pools and knives, that's why I researched that.
Okay, good.
We have fishing tournaments coming up.
We have some fishing tournaments coming up. 4 PM to midnight's kind of surprising to me, but, yeah, that's it. Anything, else? Any other comments, issues, questions?
Don't have any.
Well, if not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.